YouTube, we are back. We are gonna get started on my 77 Ford. All right, it has been a long time in the making. I have not driven this truck in almost 10 years. I want to get it up and running before the 10-year mark, which would be right around, if I remember right, I believe it was April of 2015 that this truck exploded. I took an NB 4500 and made it a puzzle, is what I did. I pulled the transmission out of this thing with no tools. The only thing left was the bell housing. Everything else was in chunks. Yeah, so what I'm gonna do is I have a G56 for it. That's what we're gonna swap into it. I have the full adapter plate and everything like that. It's just hooked here in the bed. My dad said that he has had enough of my shenanigans and that I needed to move all my stuff out, which was not cool, not very cash money, unappreciated even. Unappreciated. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, so I need to get in here. I need to pull the radiator out. I need to get to that adapter plate. I need to mount that adapter plate to the back of the 12 valve. Put the clutch in. And then we need to figure out a tranny jack so I can lift up this G56 and huck her on in there. In order to get started on this, I need to take this pan out of here. To take this pan out, I have to take out my sweet seats. I'll probably just reinstall this so that I don't lose it again. Oh, sorry about the noise, dudes. Woof. Yeah, but we'll go ahead and slap this back on here so that she looks normal again. And then we will take the seats out. Here's how long this truck's been parked. These are my football cleats. As you can see, they were not used very long because I'm not a very athletic individual. I do not have coordination, nor do I have the intuitiveness, I suppose, to go ahead and keep up with the plans that they make and all that stuff. So, over it. Trucks are funner anyway. But to get into the damage of what happened with this truck whenever the transmission let go. Well, transmission didn't let go. The U-joint behind the transmission let go, and it turned my transmission into a bunch of puzzle pieces. Here's what happened. So you can see right here, this big old dent. So NB 4500 stopped about here, as far as lengthwise, maybe about here. But then there's this little tiny drive shaft between here and the divorce transfer case on this truck. Well, this back one let go, and it swung straight up and just nailed the bottom of the truck right here, the bottom of the cab. Smoked it. Hit it so hard that it knocked the stereo down into the dash. I fixed it, but completely knocked the wind out of the poor girl. And then after that, I just looked behind me and I just saw a trail of what do you call it? Of tranny fluid, not tranny fluid, but like 90-weight lube, because that's what I used to run in it, was just gear oil. I mean, it took it to a bazillion pieces just so fast. But like now I have some carpeting for it. I have the seat for it right there. I haven't taken it into the Connex yet. I have some mats for it. I even have some carpeting for the back here that I'd like to do so that it's not as loud inside of this cab. Maybe do a set of subs back here, take this piece out, you know, kind of just modernize it a little bit, clean it up, because it's due for it. The poor girl has been with me a long time and I've abused the crap out of it. This was the old carpet out of it and it was just super janky, but I got a new floor pan too in case the NB 4500 one doesn't line up with my G56 hole. So I have a new one to cut in case that's a factor. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna get this pressure plate out of here because this is the MB 4500 clutch. It was brand new whenever it blew up, so that was pretty lame. But yeah, so clutch is coming out, that's coming out, this is coming out. I'm gonna leave everything behind here, and I might put this down because as you can see there's like some little screws and stuff. So that way I'm not putting my love handles all up on it and tearing myself up. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and just probably lay this little floor mat out across here, pull this out. Yeah, I know this is a disaster. I'm sorry. But yeah, so that's pretty much the new plan for that. So we finally have the adapter plate off of the transmission. It was an adventure that you guys got to come along on, and I'm grateful for that. But here we are. I'm gonna take a scraper to this thing and kind of clean it off a little bit because it is disgusting. Because it came off of that and that window to block, so it painted everything underneath that truck. I mean, that truck will never rust, ever. Ever. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead, take a scraper and just kind of clean it up a little bit. Nothing too crazy. I mean, it's going on a 12 valve, so it's gonna get disgusting again. Let's just come to terms with that. I got this thing kind of cleaned up. I need to run a rag over it and kind of clean it a little bit again. It's going on a leaky 12 valve. We're gonna clean everything with a pressure washer after. I have a little bit of spare time, so I'm gonna go ahead and slap that puppy on. This starter, I thought it was good when I first looked at it, but a rod did smack it. And she's smoked. So I can't use the starter. I was hoping to, but I cannot. But that makes that easier. It's easier to go in. So I'm gonna go see if I have some brake clean and clean this off a little bit better, and that way our faces are nice and flat. Alrighty guys, we're kind of watered up in this truck a little bit. Here we go. Make it look a little more comfortable, sort of, because I've got an exhaust hanger in my armpit. I don't know if you can see it. It's right there. Boop. Get out of the way. See it? Yeah, so it's supportive, I guess. But we have our adapter plate right here. I painted it purple because America. Dang it. I'm not gonna worry about it. It's an adapter plate. No one really sees it anyway. So there we go. I'm gonna go ahead and slap it on right here. Here's some more damage from that transmission, I guess. I just noticed that. We might have to massage this part of the floorboard a little bit to fit the tranny. We'll have to see. But yeah, so here we go. And I might have to do something else with the exhaust because it is hugged in really tight. So yeah, I might have to hug it out further. Something else there, because that's not gonna fly. That is right on the way, I think. Maybe, possibly. The hanger definitely is. That is not the move. My arm is falling asleep very rapidly. But yeah. And then these common rail adapter plates had an O-ring right for the back of the cam, but these 12 valves have a press-in disc, so you don't have to worry about sealing up that O-ring because you have this disc here. I would advise at this time putting in your coolant bypass. I will not be probably needing one on this because this truck's not going to really see a whole lot of work. It's more just going to be a toy than anything. I mean, we might put, yeah, I don't know. We'll probably put a trailer on it occasionally, but it's not going to be like the dedicated workhorse. So yeah, here we go. Okay guys, so a little heads up. It doesn't really matter for this truck because again, it's not going to be seeing a ton of work. But to G56 swap it, you can use this bolt, this bolt, this bolt, this bolt, and this bolt. And this one. This one and this one you cannot use. There is nothing in there. See? There's literally nothing behind there. And then if you look right up in here, yeah, you can see it without the light. But here's the light anyway. Oh, it did not help at all. There you go. You can see it's not lined up. But this one's lined. I have to remember where the camera is. Lined. Oh, there's not one there. And then lined. And then obviously these two are lined because they're threaded. These are the dowel bolts. And then the other ones are, well, not. So we're going to throw Loctite on these. We're going to run some Uggy Duggies on these because that's what the torque spec is going to be. Because torque specs are just numbers, let's be honest. Yeah, and then we'll probably hang up the flywheel and then maybe the friction disc and the pressure plate, and we'll go from there. All I have is blue Loctite, so we're getting extra risky with it. Okay guys, here we go. If anyone wants to donate a lift, that'd be the bee's knees. I'd send you pictures of it all the time. I'd let you know that I'm taking care of it. It'd be going to a good home, you know, and that's what I really think you guys are worried about. So yeah, I mean, if you guys did want to send me one, get at me. I'm always open to donations. It'd be great. Anyway, we have the flywheel next. I had to take the pilot bearing out of it because it's seized up, so I'm gonna have to get a pilot bearing. But we're that much closer. Okay. So that's the good news. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and throw this puppy in place, and then that's gonna be it for today because that's my stopping point. All right, here we go. Alrighty guys, I'm going to start my bell housing bolts in here so that I don't lose them, because I have a nasty tendency of doing that. But then after I get all these started, I'm going to go inside of the house and probably eat some dinner. Yeah, that's pretty much the essence of that. Ooh, that exhaust is going to be right on the way. That's going to be a problem. But yep, that is pretty much it for today. I will check back in once we are making more progress. Need to get a pilot bearing, which would be pretty cheap. I need to get a whatchamacallit, apparently another bell housing bolt. I have 3 Cummins engines. I think I can find a bell housing bolt. But that is it for this day. We will get back on it. And next time I got a little bit of spare time. Okay, it's like 3 months later because I am a bum. Not even a bum, I just kept forgetting to buy that stupid pilot bearing. But we have the pilot bearing now. We also got a throwout bearing for the tranny. So we're gonna install the clutch right now and then maybe see about getting this behemoth out of the bed. I don't know how, but we're gonna try, okay? We're gonna give it an honest effort. Or an effort, at least. We might have to fight dirty. And then the other thing that we can probably do is hang the hydraulics that I robbed out of that truck. Right there. Yeah, we'll see if we can get that mounted. And then what else do we need to do? Yeah. Oh, I need to see if my bell housing, or not my bell housing, my cross member is in my storage Isuzu. Here's my storage Isuzu. We might try to bring this onto the project block here pretty soon. Oh, speaking of projects, I have something exciting to show you guys. This right here is an E4OD with a 4-wheel drive tail housing. We got this because I blew up the transmission in this. I blew this up about a year ago, roughly. And I couldn't decide which direction I wanted to go with it. I didn't know if I wanted to do an E4OD back in it, or if I wanted to just swap it to a 4R110, or if I wanted to do just the absolute American thing and just swap it to a 6.7 and a G56. And then I looked at my bank account and I realized that a 6.7 and a G56 was just not on the table right now. And so I found a 4R100 for very cheap, but it's a 2-wheel drive. And that wasn't very cool. Anyway, I got a 4R100, but it's a 2-wheel drive tail housing. So the issue with this is this right here is a 4-wheel drive truck. So I needed a 4-wheel drive tail housing. And I could go ahead and locate a 4-wheel drive tail housing for that, but that transmission didn't come with a torque converter or anything like that. It's a good case, so I don't know. Someone might buy it. But yeah, so we're not too worried about doing the 4R100 in it. So we're just gonna slap the E4OD. The guy said it ran. Said it ran when it was pulled. It was just out of a wrecked truck, and it cracked the bell housing. So they fixed the bell housing, and they did a pretty good job. They did inside and outside welds. So you can see right here, you got a weld, and then you got a weld like that. I mean, it broke good. They broke it very good. Whoever did it, they broke it very well. But yeah, so we're gonna get started on this thing too here pretty soon. That's pretty exciting because I do miss driving it. This thing was an absolute blast to drive. It turned so many heads. People loved them, or loved it. I need to figure out a wheel for it too. I found a set of welds that were widened to 12-inch wide, a 12 wide, and I thought those would look kind of cool, but I'm not a huge fan of directional wheels. So I don't know. I might not do that, but yeah. So I might just go back with Alcoas, or I might try to find a set of 22.5s for it. Do some hood rat activities. Make her all thick and wide and thick and all that. You know what I mean? Jelly bean. But yeah, so I'm pretty excited to go ahead and get started on this. Kind of sound off on what you think. Do I go Alcoas? Do I do 22, or do I do custom milled 22.5s that are 22s so I can put like an actual tire on it? Or do I try to find a set of welds for it? Or do I just buy one extra Alcoa and send it like that? Kind of let me know what you guys think. I will probably be doing like a 35 on it because it needs a little extra. Something that big needs a big tire, for sure. Yeah, but that's pretty much the extent of the excitement on the Centurion for right now. We have the tranny for it. We have the engine runs, all of that. We need to get it kind of out of here because you can see the gophers are starting to dig underneath it because they're dumb and they're lame. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and get the G56 hopefully kind of stabbed into this. I'll need to go steal a tranny jack from someone if I can get it out of the bed. That's the other big contingency here. And kind of hodgepodge right now. We're just kind of tossing it together just to see what it looks like. I have a new grill shell for it, so we don't have to worry about that anymore because that looks yuck. And then onto the interior. So the guy that wanted my interior parts, he has a blue interior in his truck and a gray front seat. And so I traded him all of my interior stuff. And so he's gonna come back and get these seats out of here because he said that he'd really like to have an all blue interior. So that's kind of the goal with that, is to go ahead and set him up with this, because the seats are about the same condition. You know, the passenger seats are always, of course, really good because, let's face it guys, Ford guys don't get chicks. Dodge guys, that's why I have 4 kids right there. It's because I don't Dodge, that's it. But yeah, like our interiors are about the same, or the seats are. And so we're just going to trade straight across because he has gray Captains, a 40 2040, and then I have the blue Captains, the 40 2040. So we're just going to straight trade for those, because I like these ones because they have the thin backs. I had some out of a Jelly Bean Ford in here for a while and I couldn't stand them because they were so thick in the back. Like they came right up to the end of the cab, so you couldn't really sit in here comfortably. This might help like your first gen guys, your second gen guys, your guys that have, you know, the first or second gen with an automatic that blew up and you're looking to standard swap it, but you don't want to do an NB 4500 or a get rig. You want to do something that's actually reliable and not a heinous piece of junk. I would not typically suggest putting in a used clutch, but this thing has such good meat on the bone still. We're not down to the rivets. We still have all of our aeration passages through everything, so it stays nice and cool. All of that disperses all the nasty stuff. It looks really clean for the most part. It's a little rusty, so it might bark a little bit whenever I get it in there for the first time, but all in all it looks pretty decent. So we're gonna run this one, and again, this is just temporary. We just want to get this thing right here on the road. Oh, that exhaust hanger is so inconvenient. So we have 4 of them tightened just across from each other, because this does not need to be super tight. All we need to do is be able to keep this thing held in place so that we can tighten this while we're torquing it down. But you can see in there, we're not centered. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get a punch and we're gonna drop it into the pilot bearing, and we're gonna pick this up a little bit and we're gonna just eyeball it to where it's centered. So we need to go up a bit. I might grab a flashlight, but yeah, we need to go up maybe a little to the right. So yeah, I'll go grab a punch and a flashlight and I'll be back. We couldn't find a file or a punch, so I grabbed a Cummins branded pry bar. This one being straight, I don't know if it'll work for everything, but luckily a lot of times and in some very special occasions, Cummins actually makes one that I don't know if you can see that, but they're pre-bent. It's pretty cool. It's part of a it's like a Jake brake kind of, you know, because this one is technically shorter than our other one. It doesn't open up the exhaust valves nearly as much, so it saves you on your brakes. Yeah, it's actually kind of a cool thing that they do. I kind of like it. So we have our two pry bars, we have our standard and our specialty, and we're gonna see if we can get that thing lined up. All right, so our pre-bent pry bar did just the trick that we needed. We look pretty centered, so now we go ahead and tighten and torque all of the bolts around the outside. Clutch tightened in. All of your clutch fingers should look like they're pretty level. As you can tell, this one right here, or this one, wasn't making very good contact for some reason, so I don't know how long this clutch is gonna last in here, but this will get us moving. So yeah, that one for some reason is not engaging very nicely, which I don't like. But yeah, so you can tell that one wasn't engaging very well, and neither was this side. I don't think they had this thing torqued right whenever they did it the last time. I think they over tightened these two bolts, and or that one and this one. I think they just over tightened those two and didn't tighten the rest right or something. Or maybe they just pulled in with those ones first and it kind of bent things a little bit, because everything seems to be sitting pretty flat now. We'll have to see how it looks whenever it's all up and running. But so there's that piece of the puzzle, done deal. Looking at it now, we're probably gonna have to pull this exhaust off and massage the floorboards to make it fit right, because it's just, it doesn't have a whole ton of room down here. We'll have to see. Yeah, this is going to be a lot of back and forth and up and down with this tranny just to kind of make it fit, but we are that much closer. I also need to tilt this engine up in the front, so I might do that today too and get a block underneath the front of it so we can angle it down and get that tranny in there. As you can see, the engine's kind of rocked forward, and it needs a bath desperately. But so what we're gonna do is we're gonna get a jack and a block, and we're gonna pick it up from the front of where the oil pan mounts, right up here, and we're gonna rock it back, and then we'll put a piece of wood underneath the oil pan to kind of hold it rocked back, and just kind of out of the way, or tilted back so that it moves a little better. All right, so we got the engine rocked back kind of where it likes to sit, maybe a little high, but that's okay. Because now, if we look in here, we have quite a bit more clearance. We're probably still gonna have to pull this exhaust out, but things should stab a little bit better in there. So that is a huge win. Looking over the tranny mount that we did for the NV4500, and we've got an issue, guys. It is not going to happen with this G56 mount. It just won't work. It's going to be too tall for one. All of that. Because this one, this is what it bolts into. Well, maybe I could just bolt into that, but I really don't want to. I'd prefer a better mount because this one's kind of small. It was just holding an NV4500, so it didn't need much. It's still a good mount, but I don't know. I kind of want to use this setup because it's a better setup, and then I might just rebuild this setup. I think that'd probably be our best bet. I don't know. What do you guys think? Should I just rebuild the entire thing and just do a new, or should I just try to struggle bus with this? But that's gonna wrap this one up, guys. I'm gonna try to keep these videos a little shorter because like my first video was an hour long, and I know that no one wants to watch an hour of me whatsoever, much less talking. But yeah, so we're gonna try to keep these a little shorter, a little bit more fun and fresh. But next video will hopefully be us tossing the tranny in and kind of getting the cross member mocked up and pulling out the center cooler, and maybe even swinging by JP Fabs. That way I can come up, or I can bestow upon you guys some of the nicknames that I've been thinking about doing, because I think that'd be absolutely hilarious, and I know Josh will love it. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Like, subscribe, comment, and build your own dreams. Like, this one's not quite a dream anymore. It's kind of turning into a nightmare pretty dang quick. Bye.